guys, Prangell Gaming here. Welcome back to the Talk the Wall podcast. This is episode 3, and unfortunately Taylor isn't here today. I don't know why, I haven't really been able to get into contact with him, so unfortunately you're going to be stuck with me for at least this one podcast. Now, it's going to be considerably smaller than the last for the fact there's not too much to talk about, to be fair. You've left quite a few comments, and well, there are a little bit of news that I can actually go ahead and cover. However, with there not being two people, it's not really easy to go back and forth. So anything you don't agree with or anything you want to add, just put it down in the comment section. Hopefully there'll be more to talk about next week and Taylor will be returning. So if you have missed any of the other podcasts, there is an I button that you can click and you can catch up with the two you've missed. Or alternatively, in the description of this video, there will be a link to the previous one. But let's just get into actually what's happening in this podcast. And this week I decided it would be better off to start with your comments and opinions of what happened over the week and obviously from the last podcast. So Liam Gaming 2 left me an email with quite a few comments in it. And so you guys haven't actually seen these, but I have a couple that I'm going to pull out. And the first one was, do you think we're going down this season? Now, I actually feel that we might. Now, I don't want you guys to go ahead and say, oh, you're hating on Millwall, you're being so negative. No, I think that the fact we might go down is due to the idea we've got some fantastic signings. It looks like it could go fantastically for Millwall. And, well, with the expectations high, Millwall don't always perform, do they? We've known this in the past. I'm not saying that we're not going to be fantastic this season. Believe me, I really hope we will. But I really think we're going to struggle, and I think it's going to be a very big battle against relegation at the best this season. I think that we have got a decent side, but again, we're going to have to battle to prove our dominance. Liam's second question was, do you think we need a new goalkeeper coach? And I believe that Kevin Pressman is great at what he does. I don't think we need another one. Maybe Taylor would have disagreed with this one, but I feel that if you have Pressman there and can maybe bring Forde back in a couple of years, I know that Forde is obviously training to be a coach, I think this would be worthwhile, and I think that we should go ahead and do this. Pressman has been great at what he's done, and he's been at Millwall for such a long time now, so let's keep him here. Even if we go down, I think he's still worthwhile to be keeping around the squad. Liam's third question then was, who is the worst signing this season? And this is so hard to say, believe me. Again, last week we tried to talk about our best signing. We both said Jed Wallace. But the worst signing, I can't really say a name. If I have to say a name, which I'm expecting you want me to, I'm going to go ahead with Tom Elliott. It's not really that I think he's terrible, because I don't. I think that he hasn't done too much. He hasn't scored a goal, but then again, he hasn't played so many. So it's unfair on him to say that, but I have to say a name. So I think Elliott will be quite decent moving forward, but we're just going to have to see. And his final question, I'm going to take out of context. And what he said was, who do you expect to leave? So I'm going to change it and say who I expect to leave if we get relegated. And I'm going to go ahead and say Archer, Gregory. I wouldn't expect Williams to go, but I would possibly expect Webster to go, because these are some of the names Harris had to convince to stay at the club. Harry CD was the next person to comment, and he said, to be fair, I didn't go to the Dartford match, but in my previous comment, I didn't say we played well nor bad. But I'm just saying that pre-season isn't a huge deal. Liverpool drew 1-1 with a League One side in Wigan, and it definitely doesn't mean Liverpool will be getting relegated from the Premier League. And I say, well done, Harry. That is a well-put comment. I didn't sort of agree with Taylor on his comments there. And again, he isn't here to really say anything. But I think pre-season, it matters in a way. But again, it is to gain the fitness. It would be nice to win one. That's all I'm saying. Joe was the final person to comment. And he said that he did mean Cooper as the third centre-back. I had a little bit of a feeling there that he didn't mean Sid Nelson, because I don't really know too many Millwall fans that are strong admirers of Sid. And for his score prediction for the Barnet game, he did actually say that Millwall would win 4-1 against Barnet. It's safe to say Joe was miles off with that prediction. And, well, I don't know whether Taylor went to the game or not. I certainly didn't. I work majority of the time, especially on Saturdays. I only go to the home games. So the fact is, I never went to it. I can't really say too much about it. I know that John Akinde scored, and again, we just failed to perform. But I'm just going to have a look at my phone now to have a look at the actual team that we went ahead and played. It looks like a pretty strong side, if I'm going to be honest. We had Archer in goal at the start, McLaughlin as the right back, the two centre backs of Hutchinson and Webster. The left back is James Meredith, as the right midfielder is David Worrell. The two centre midfielders were Williams and Butcher. Butcher, I've actually heard quite a lot of bad things about Butcher, so I'm hoping that it's not true and he hasn't been terrible, but I can't really say anything. I think Butcher is going to be taken out of the team quite a lot this season by what I've been hearing. The left midfielder is Ferguson, and the two strikers are Gregory and Morrison. And, well, again, I think it's a battle with the fact that we haven't actually got players that can score goals. To be fair to Morrison and Gregory, they scored a lot of goals last season, but they're not championship players in my opinion, and I didn't even think they were that great in League One. That may be a controversial view, I know, but at the end of the day, I'm entitled to my own view, and you guys can tell me what you think about Morrison and Gregory down in the comments section. So next up, we do actually have Stevenage, which at the time this podcast is going up, it will be tonight. We're expected to name quite a few of the players that didn't play, with Elliott, Saville and Wallace even being able to play in that game. So hopefully we can get a better result. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. Let me know what you guys think about that game in the comments section. I think it'd be interesting to see your views. Again, we are playing another League 2 side. So moving on into the Millwall news for this week, and the first one that we're going to be going with is the fact that Steve Kavanagh has said that Millwall have looked into the idea of safe standing areas at the Den, but they're not going to be going ahead with it because the Premier League and Championship sides are required to have an all-seated place after the results from the Taylor report. And I am not the biggest fan of standing up. I think it'd be nice to have a couple of the areas, but when you go to non-league stadiums like Dartford where you have to stand the whole match, I'm not the biggest fan. Then again, I'm not so disappointed in it because if you have that many Millwall fans together, I think it's great. And from hearing what my dad said when he used to go to the old Den, he said it was fantastic. He used to be able to stand up and it was brilliant atmospheres. I would love that. If it brings the atmosphere up at the Den, then I would love to have it. But I've never known it in my lifetime, so it's hard for me to really comment on that. Now, the next story is after we lost to Barnet, Neil Harris has raised a huge warning to the players, saying that if they don't up their standards, there will not be a place in the team for them for the first match of the season when we face Nottingham Forest. He's also gone as far as saying when we face Granada, you will see a team close to his starting 11. So let's hope that team can actually do something this season. The next story is that Millwall are still looking at bringing in Ryan Leonard and Jake Cooper. It's said that we had a bid accepted for Cooper, but that happened a very long time ago, and nothing's happened since that time. And with Leonard, it's come out and said that there has been a transfer request handed in for him, even though the club Southend have reported that this isn't the case. I actually think that we're not going to get either of those, and I know that's going to be an unpopular view within the people around and the fans of Millwall, but I think Leonard's going to end up going Sheffield United, and I think Cooper will stay at Reading unless he forces for a transfer, but I think he wants to play for Reading. They're much bigger than Millwall. And the final story of this week is that two former Millwall players have found clubs, as David Forde has joined Cambridge on a one-year deal, and Liam Trotter has joined up with AFC Wimbledon, finding his place with Jimmy Abdu and Paul Robinson. I think that's a fantastic move for him, and I think AFC Wimbledon are a great club for former Millwall players. If any manager can have them, Neil Ardley is a great manager. Also, I don't know whether any of you guys know this, but James Henry joined Oxford United a while back as well. That's a pretty interesting transfer as well. So that is all we've got time for this week. Do feel free to send those emails to brandonprangell@gmail.com with the subject header Talk the Wall, and I will look through them and add them into the podcast. If you don't want your voice to be heard, say you don't want to speak and have it in an email, which some of you may want to. If you do, feel free to send it through. If not, then just leave your comments and opinions in the comments section of this podcast. So that's all for this week. I'm going to be going now, and I hope to see you guys next week for the next instalment of this Talk the Wall podcast. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and we will be seeing you guys next week. But until then, goodbye.